Hello and welcome to another hobby ramble over here at Broken Brush. I'm Matt. I'm here solo today, which is new for me. Addie is off visiting family halfway around the world, so you're just going to be dealing with me today. So, if anybody's got anything to say and wants to chit chat with me, I am fully captive to you today. Today I am going to be working on some more Relicblade. I'm going to be working on Skeletons, this Darkness faction here. This is one of the guys that I finished up the other day over at Waystone. I really love the way he turned out. I like all of the atmosphere that I was able to get. Lots of purple shadows, lots of green glowy bits, which is important for when you're doing magic evil skeletons. And I today I'm going to be working on one of the hero units for that faction. I think her name is Lady Blackstone. She's got a cool skull mask and cool clothes and all that sort of stuff, and we're going to be working on that today. Hi, Mr. Carvili. You are always prompt and welcome to have here when we're getting this started. How you doing today? Also, the music is new today, so let me know if the volume needs to be adjusted at all with how that's set up. So, to start out with this, you can see she's got lots of layers going on with her. She's got these pants down here. We've got these sort of wrappy material things going on. We've got just normal old leather boots down there. We've kind of got, yeah, this is part of the wrap that goes around her. This is some more like bandagey looking parts that are similar to that. There's some like armor looking stuff on the side as well, one on each side of her hips and then on her shoulders. Just trying to break down how do I approach this, how many colors do I need, and what order do I do them all in. I think what I'm going to do today is really try and do things inside out. I think the advice people give is to paint things in the order that you put clothes on, and I'm going to do that so that I can just start breaking down the pieces that we're working with, the materials that they are, and sort of figure out how the colors are going to be broken up as we work our way out. And if I make a mistake, then I can go over it on the other layer. Are you working on a God of War tank? I feel like I've heard that a million times, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually work with one of those before. Is it just like the Primarch equivalent big tank, or is it just like giant gun platform? What's it do? Mr. Carvili's a big fan of Horus Heresy, as am I. Dinosaur fun facts, Isaac. Oh man, I've got plenty of dinosaur fun facts. I was saying last stream I got into reading this book about, I think it's called The Rise and Fall of Dinosaurs, that was written like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just really excellent for like getting me excited about something that I did as a kid. Learned all sorts of new things. There's all sorts of interesting stuff. And kind of the author breaks it down by like sort of evolutionary advancements that go along. Like one of the big things that dinosaurs had over other animals is that they were really efficient at breathing, and birds are still to this sort of way. It's part of why they have those hollow bones. There are air sacs that kind of spread through the bones of some dinosaurs and other birds, and that contributes to they basically filled that up with air when they breathe in, and then when they're breathing out, they're still extracting oxygen on the out breath too, which is just wild to me. but it makes them really efficient. If you're ever wondering how like a brachiosaur was able to get, or a sauropod was able to get that giant and still be able to like function, that was a big part of it. So I've got some rubber black down on my palette. I've got some ice white, which is the color that I'm highlighting everything with. And then the color that I'm shading everything with across all of this is some dioxazine violet, which is a single pigment. I mean, look at this. It looks wild, isn't it? Just crazy deep purple that I'm using for all of my shadows across the whole thing. And it's also, I started this off by kind of giving it a zenithal. And started off by giving it a zenithal prime, and then I ran some dioxazine violet oil wash into everything. Yeah, Isaac, it's popularly, there was a different air composition, but what they've found out more recently is that that wasn't enough to account for that. It was all there were several evolutionary advantages that they had along the way that helped them get all the oxygen out of things. Also, their upright stance was a big thing, because you can walk up and down without contracting your lungs. You can move your legs back and forth without contracting your lungs, whereas lizards, they can only really inflate one lung at a time because they squirm sort of side to side, which compresses the other lung. Anyway, wild stuff. I am going to start by painting some of these wraps here on the legs. This is going to end up being whatever my version of white is going to be. Right now it's a little bit of a dirty light yellow. Got a little bit too much paint on my brush. There we go, it's moving better now. And I just keep working that in. My palette's a little extra wet because where we live in Seattle, the rain opened up for the first time in months. So it is wet outside, it's humid, everything's probably going to get way too overhydrated, and we're gonna just figure it out. And just kind of quick and messy putting down these colors. If I leave a little bit of purple in the shadows, that's fine with me because all my shadows are purple anyway. We're working out. It looks like that is not bandage, so that's a different material. So I need to make sure that I stay away from that as I'm highlighting everything. I think the trickiest thing about this model is going to be there's a bunch of different materials that need different colors in them. How's the volume on the music, everyone who's here right now? I'm trying to dial that in. I recorded some earlier, and it sounded all right to me, but you know, you never trust yourself 100%. Again, if you weren't around when I was painting up pigs last stream, these are all for Relicblade, which is a rad little skirmish game that was made by Sean Sutter, who is a righteous dude. Writes everything, writes the rules, makes the minis, does the illustrations, all of that. And then there is Malev, who is the guy who does all the box art for all of that. Kind of trying to get a group of that started up at our club out here and get people interested in that. And so far, it's been reasonably easy. The game kind of sells itself. Some people just see the models and go, "Oh my god, I want one of those. It's cool and it's cute and it's stupid." And that's the right combo for most people, turns out. Good. Glad to hear everything's set up. Hey Ryan, good to see you in here, bud. I was doing the deep dive into music licensing for royalty-free music today. That's stuff that you learn when you start getting into streaming. How does this work? How do you play this music without getting in trouble with people? And it turns out there are lots of people who have solved that problem already. That's what I told Addie when we started this whole thing. I said, man, I'm really glad that I'm doing it now instead of 10 years ago when all of this stuff was brand new. I'm going to work a little bit more purple into the shadows. Over here. What's everybody else working on? Or are you working on anything? I guess it's a bit much to insinuate that everybody must be working on stuff. Isaac, you got a big project, just lots of Black Templars and Terminators and Nasty Boys. Ooh, StarCraft before dinner. That's a good option. I like that. I never really got into StarCraft 2 beyond like that really lovely period where it was brand new and everybody was still figuring stuff out, and I got ranked in silver, and I'll never beat that again in my whole life. I think I actually did a quick dip into gold. I was so proud of myself because I'm not good at those games. Folding a lot of origami. I didn't know you did that, Isaac. That's rad. I mean, it seems like there's a fair amount of overlap between that and hobby stuff. It's not shocking to me, but I do like to hear that you're doing it. Alright, and then we have these bandages here in the middle. We're going to hit that. I think that's going to be a leather belt. Highlighting everything for these bones with an ice yellow because it's going to contrast well against the violet shadows that I've got going with everything. It's going to just give everything a bit of a mood. The secret is sometimes when you're looking for interesting paint schemes is you just use the same colors for everything and mix them in different proportions. Don't get too clever with it. What takes muscle memory, the StarCraft or the origami, Ryan? Yeah, I watch people play StarCraft with like really high APM, and it's wild to me that like I don't know how much they know of what each key they're doing is actually doing. Or is it, you know, they're just hitting everything and they've got, you know, well, it's 5 keystrokes to make it this. Yeah, I think both. Alright, we got some rough bandages down. I'm going to start working in a little bit more yellow into this ice yellow, which is going to be my white for this, like I said. This is an interesting setup here for me tonight. I got this, I've got the red grass lamp, and I love it. It's really nice. It gives really good light. And it also comes with 2 prongs, and this webcam fits right in between the prongs. Just perfect. So, you know, we're elite streamers over here, 3 streams in, and we've got, you know, really advanced and mature setups. Oh, I didn't read what you said earlier, Mr. Carvili. You're doing the Kratos. Your joke was too clever for me. Couldn't follow. That said, I don't really follow tanks. They're not my favorite thing in the world to paint. You see how when you put this bright yellow next to all this purple, it just looks like white. Not trying to be perfect about anything right now. Just keep pushing these highlights a little bit more and a little bit more. They're these lovely models. They've got all sorts of little detail. You wouldn't believe that they're metal. Now I'm gonna get this inside bit here. Let's see. Inside of the forearm. Poor Lady Blackstone, what happened to her? Now she's wandering the wilderness raising skeletons. Oh man, the second Kratos? There's so many big guns. When you play against Isaac and Horus Heresy, you don't know, you think you're doing alright, you think you might be a little bit ahead in the game, and then all of a sudden he drops giant bricks of Terminators on your face and just keeps blasting away at you with autocannons until you can't do anything anymore. It's a humbling experience. All the while just being the nicest dude about it all. You know, being murdered by a nice guy is not the worst. Not the best, not the worst. I had Lehman Russ in my game against him, and I just had to boogie him all across the board, running away from being shot. Eventually he was. We'll avenge him later. Alright, I got a little overzealous and painted something up here that I think is shirt sleeve. Yeah, Rory knows how to get murdered. Let me see. I am sliding across and looking at my little cheat sheet. It's always nice to have good art. Good box art is nice because then you get to see all the bits and bobs of the model that are actually picked out by somebody. And yes, I was correct. That is not bandages right there. That's just a sleeve. Oh, the cheat sheet. Let me see. I can... Let me see. We gotta learn some... some OBS. Let's see. Yes. No, this isn't it. There we go. Capture cursor. Yeah. Whoa. Well, that wasn't quite as graceful as I wanted it to be. But here is my cheat sheet. I'm looking at Lady Blackstone, who's right here. And we've got this lovely art. So I was talking about this area right here. We see she's got lots of wraps going on. She got those pants and this big wrap going around the outside. I use some different colors, but you know, it's nice to see what's going on distinctly with it. Look at the back. She's got magic bones hanging behind her so she can make more skellies. What lovely art though, really. And you can see, got a metal mini here. Everything in here. We got stats, if you want to creep the stats. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Alright, we're back. And let's see, I think I want to work on the clothes that are underneath there now that I've kind of got the wraps blocked out a little bit. I think I might even take a little bit of this purple, mix it with my black here. It's a warm black, which makes for a really weird color, but I like it. I'm going to try and get really tight in here and do some shadows in between some of these. Yeah. Feel myself breathing really deep when I'm doing this stuff. It's almost like I'm snoring. But I think that means it's relaxing, right? Alright, define those wraps a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more on this arm right here. And I smudged it a little bit bigger than I wanted to, so I'm going to come back in here and just tighten it back in a little bit. It's that thing where you see, when you're watching tutorials, people do it all in one step, but it just kind of, I don't know, I think there's something valuable in learning how to correct your mistakes as you're making it. Alright, now it's time for pants, and I think we're going to do them, where's my buddy Cricket? I really like this sort of tealy blue color that I worked into the cloth on him, so I think I'm going to try and do most of the pants and such that color just to keep things interesting. Or maybe I should do them black and do the there's armor panels. Maybe I'll do the armor panels that blue, and instead I'll do the pants and stuff a nice dark gray. We're just going to keep it here. keep purple in my black, because these are going to be the shadows. And just keep them this sort of muddy brown color. Trust me, it works. It makes sense. And we'll just keep working in some higher tones there. Mixing in the highlight color. And as I'm putting this in, I'm going to kind of wet blend in some highlights. These aren't going to be the most important part of the model, and they're probably going to be less important than the wraps on his legs, so we want to just not draw too much attention to that, but we'll keep it in this range. Keep moving in this dark purple black. It's kind of a habit that I've gotten in as I paint more and more. It's just using straight black and straight white less and less often. Tends to just make your colors more interesting. Always have a off-white and an off-black. Working my highlights in here. Love it. It's good. Keeping these a little bit lighter. I wonder if I'm gonna kind of leaning as I continue this on doing the armor as if it's bone rather than making it like a blue color, just having it be bone armor, which sounds rad, right? Right? I'm cool, right? Love this like lilac color, or what is it, mauve? I don't know. It's kind of a purpley gray. Just touch a couple highlights here. And while I'm here, I'll touch the hands a little bit with that. Maybe she's wearing gloves. Or maybe her skin's just dead from her necromancy, like frostbite. Yeah, like Wraithbone or something like that. Yeah, in a weird sort of symmetry. Bone armor, Mr. Curvily, bone armor is more metal than normal armor, even though it's not metal. It becomes too cool. And then I can do her cloak in the other style, or with the other blue color that I like so much. There's also a red that I've been using, but I don't think that's for me today. Keep her really cool. I think what I like part of what I like about this game and the models that come with this game is that it's just, they're very, like, is somebody walking around with a bone mask over the top? Yeah, sure, they're over the top, but like not over the top in the same sort of way as like a end game Diablo necromancer covered in bones and jewels and everything else. Oh, Ryan's hitting us with the elf facts with Ryan. Wearing the bones of their predecessors. That's suitably macabre. Alright. I want to get some blue on here. Yeah, follow him for more elf facts. So this blue, you can see here, it's got a lot of green in it. Watch this. So if I mix this purple in with these colors, it makes this really lovely blue color. Like, look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? That's the shadow color for this blue. Color theory is wild. So I am gonna mix some of this in there. This will be my shadow color as I'm going. And then this can be my normal. And I just kind of keep working with it. So we're just going to keep mixing this into those dark shadows that are already really have a lot of that violet in them. And then while that's still wet, we start moving in the other colors on top of it and around it, making sure that I'm actually following where the cloth goes, which I kind of strayed from, but that's why we're painting inside out today. This is also just the first coat. We still need to do our highlights and everything else. Yeah, mixing colors with paints that are a little bit more single pigment, you get these really interesting color theory moments. Like I was painting with some green and magenta, and when you mix them together, it makes a very similar color to this, but a little bit more purple. It's wild. So, you know, keep playing with color, everyone. Oh, I think those are teeth on her shoulder. If I go to my cheat sheet. She have shoulder teeth? Ah, I see. We'll show the cheat sheet. And you see up here, got the armor, but the cloth goes under and around it. And then there's armor on either side too. Alright. Forget who it was who was asking about saying they were spooked of wet blending. I just want to be like, look, there's nothing spooky. We're doing it right now. All I'm doing is just moving color on the model. I ain't scared. It isn't going to be perfect the first time through. But like with a model this textured, I don't think you really need to think about it that much. I like her little cloth hood, like a babushka. I do that with my dog. Cover her head with a handkerchief, and we call her Bushka. Ryan the Spooked. That's alright. Yeah, Mr. Carvili, it is raining. It's been wild today, which is nice. I've been ready for it, but it's also a little like, here we go. There's no turning back now. And keep the purple and the darkest shadows over there. And try and be a little too dilute. Not covering as much as I want. Still a little too dilute. That's okay. We'll just have to do more color, more coats. Trying to keep it tidy. Keep it away from the skulls that I'm going to be painting later. And you can see my paint is staying active for a very long time today. Things are wet. While we let that dry, we're going to do the same thing down here on the bottom. I'm going to put some pure violet in here in this corner and over here. So just keep working through there and just reaching in and applying it in the deepest shadows there. I won't need to go back to that. I can just leave it purple. It's one of the nice things when you have these universal shadows. You don't really need to think that much about what you're doing with them after the fact. They just kind of hang out, do their job. I'm going to take some of my blue color and work over that. This isn't going to be the final color of everything. We got some highlights to go, so again, don't need to be perfect with everything. As I'm working, oh, I did forget to do a roundabout. That's okay. Just trying to get some more wet paint in the shadows. And then working with my blue. Trying to touch off on other things so I don't have too much paint. That's all set, but I'm going to work around to the back where we have more sort of capey flowy bits that I need to fill in. Again, since this is going to be under this wrap of bones, I can keep it mostly in shadow and only work up to the blue as it approaches the spots that are going to get more light. Touch that down real quick. And go back and do this bottom part. Lay in some violet for my shadows. People are talking about violet and purple. I think we use the words interchangeably, but violet tends to be a cooler, colder version of that. Purple tends to be a little bit closer to red, or magenta. These metal minis just paint up so fast for me. I feel like they're fast, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a fast painter or a slow painter. I know I get more caught up in details than other people. That's what I do. That's how I be. Going through where I see that things are drier and adding another coat of this blue. Again, avoiding just the deepest shadows and just working that into the other bits. Cold realness. Thanks, Rory. You know, my sister Taylor's in here. We've got sick kid over there, poor thing. We keep the Bob Ross vibes going. Alright, so we've kind of covered everything. I'm going to go back over the front again with this blue. I like that it has a little bit of green in it because green works against violet well as well. If you think about like if you think about the Incredible Hulk, that's a color scheme that works. You ever really struggling for color schemes, or does this color work with this color? Just look at comic books. They figured it out. Alright. Feeling pretty good about this, except for this little corner here. Needs to be darker. Gotta make your darks darks and your brights bright. That's all there is to it. If you do that, you're just gonna be fine. Everybody's screaming at you about contrast. All you gotta do is make your brights brighter and your darks darker. And if you think they're fine, just do a little bit more. I dare you to go too far. I think I missed one little strappy bit here. Looking. So I'll do it. I got weirdly involved in picking the music that I put on here today. Because I mean, there's lo-fi and then there's lo-fi. You gotta find the right licensable music that gives good vibes. Some people are just too chill. I don't want to be that chill. I want to be mostly chill. My paint water is just a beautiful color right now. I'm not going to move my camera though, because it's the only camera I've got today. It's just me. Alright. We're going to get this over here. I'm going to start mixing up a highlight. And I'm going to honestly mix in a little bit of black into the blue. because right now it's very, I mean, it's very saturated. Look at how pretty that color is. I need to, sadly, I need to kill the color a little bit. This is too much. This is, still a little dead. That looks about right. And then I start mixing in my highlight. My white there. I got this nice color. And I'm gonna start working up highlights. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. This giant face. Then you fit into these areas. Yeah. This is a good color. That little bit of mixing right there. Sometimes I'll be talking to people and they'll be asking me, you know, what's the recipe? What's the recipe for this color that you made? How many drops of this? How many drops of that? And I understand what they're going for. But it's really, I don't know. There's no right answer. You have to be able to float with it a little bit and figure out what's going on. See, this song is so dang funky. Alright, now I need to pay a little bit more attention because I'm dealing with faces. Even though the face isn't painted yet, we want to have a little bit more distinct highlights up on top. So people look at faces. If you paint an awesome face, you kind of don't need to pay attention to anything else. You could probably not paint half the model and it would be fine. Heyo, Mr. Avocado, how you doing? Good to see you. Greet the fellow nerds. Later, Ryan. Have a good dinner. Cooking versus baking mindset. Oh my goodness. Love it. Yeah, we're cooking here. We're trying to figure things out as we go. Because if you know how to cook a thing, you don't need the recipe. You can just figure it out. If you're missing an ingredient, you can just figure it out. Sometimes I just want to use a different color and maybe see if I can mix the same thing with a different color. Just to say that paint recipes aren't necessary. That said, the way I'm approaching these models for this game is very much in the mindset of like, there can be some variation. I'm just using the same colors and mixing them in different proportions, and that's how I'm getting variation between the groups. Mr. Avocado, how you feeling, bud? I heard you were sick. Sorry you had to miss your stream. Hit this little skirty bit down here. Highlight these folds a little bit. We want to highlight them enough because there's not a lot of focal pieces on this. There's not a lot of opportunities for like big colors because you kind of have to keep it quiet in some of it. So the parts that we do have color in, we want to make important. I also have dirty cheats in making the bases for these guys have this glowing green rock. That's how you cheat and make bright bases for your kind of drab models. I'm glad you're feeling better. I want you to be back in the world. A lot of family of mine has come down with COVID recently, and it's been a bit of a trip to realize that, or like recognize that, like, oh yeah, that's still very much a thing, very present, very contagious. You know, just when you think you're done with stuff, you're never done. And we just do the best we can, figure things out, and hopefully people don't get too hurt. The figure I'm painting, thanks for asking, Tay. This is a figure for the game Relicblade. I will put it up on stream, the box art for it. She looks like this. She's a necromancer. She walks around, summons bones. Just, I mean, what else do you want? Super spooky, cool skeleton mask. This is the faction that she's a part of. You see all these, they're just silly and very enjoyable to me. I like all their dumb bits, and then the characters look kind of cool to me. So I'm painting up that for them, that for that game. I've been trying to champion the game a little bit at the club and get people playing it, and the people are excited. Or at least some of them are. That's all I really care about. I just want to play games with people, huh? Her name is Lady Blackstone, which is sufficiently dark and broody for a necromancer. The little skeleton guy I painted earlier, his name's Cricket, and I think that's charming. I guess the lore for him is that somebody made a skeleton construct, and you know, you expect skeletons to just kind of get dumped on no matter what they're doing. And he just keeps making it through. And they're like, well, guess we gotta give him a name now. Hit some more highlights here. This might be my last. Mr. Carvile, I appreciate your just make everything dark comment. I'm just trying to be a little scratchy with these, because I imagine that this material is not perfectly maintained. Might be a little bit too big of a jump in value. Kind of let it dry and dull down a little bit. Yeah, we want to be a little bit more subtle about it in certain spaces. Yeah, she got teeth, shoulders. I mean, what more do you want? Alright, we're just going to kind of tap around here for some of the highlights near the head, just to keep things looking rough. Kind of, the smoother your brush moves, the smoother the material is going to seem. So you can kind of just dab at it a little bit. Again, this is where those You don't need to have perfect blends on anything. Although I think I have too much paint on my brush. So I'm going to dab some of that off. If you're running by with your paintbrush and you're seeing liquid pooling around it, you got a little bit too much paint. Take some of that paint off the brush. What I was saying earlier, you don't need to have perfect blends if you're putting highlights in the right spots. I'm also trying to think about what is going to frame her face. Her skull mask face. Hopefully it's a mask. I'm gonna draw some paint over here. Like I said earlier, it's really raining here today. So the paint is getting very hydrated. We're just going to keep touching that around. Honestly, this paint might be a little too wet. So we're going to put some new dots down. The thing with wet palettes is they keep your paint nice. They keep your paint active, but you know, we've been going for about an hour now. And that's about how long I expect a dot of paint to last. And some of these paints have been on here for a while. So give them a good shake. When we reload, we'll do it again. In general, something I try and keep in mind is if the paint's not doing what you want it to do, you should just stop a little bit. If it's not behaving right, then if you keep going, you're just going to cause trouble. Still a little dark for what we're going for here. A little bit more blue. A little bit more blue still. Yeah, that's probably closer. Yeah, there we go. It's behaving better. We want the paint to stay where we put it. Well, at least we want it to stay where we put it with how we're painting right now. Sometimes we want it to run. Again, that goes back to the cooking versus baking metaphor. I don't want you to know the recipe to have the color that I'm putting together. I want you to know how to mix it so that it's the color you want it, and to have the right color, or to have the right consistency, so you can paint with it. There we go. I think I want some darker highlights in here, but still highlights. And then in here, this little neck corner I've missed. Hey, Spanaway, good to see you. And there goes Advocado. Just, what is it? Oh, shoot. I can't think. Doxing? Yeah, doxing you immediately. What'd you get on your pizza? One of everything? Are you really rich? Got 2 of everything on it. We call that the arc. Alright, working some highlights through here. Alright, I think I'm just going to do one more pass to the back here. There are a couple spots that I don't like. Get this shoulder a little bit more. Half barbecue chicken, half buffalo chicken. The barbecue buffalo combo, man, oh. Oof, man. That's rough, Spanaway. It's a lot of rain to be outside. It's been pretty dreamy working from home today, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I think I'm happy with that cloth for a bit. And we are going to do some of the bone. So I'm gonna get this golden brown color that I use. Tell you were doomed to laugh at my jokes. Spent too much time together. Oh, the best thing about pizza, Spanaway, is that, man, you can have it whenever you want. Alright, now here's one of the really important things for the way that I'm painting all these bones, is they need lots of purple in the shadows. And then I mix that up with the brown that I'm using for the base of the bone. And I don't care how mixed up this gets. The important thing is that they're kind of just influencing each other. Put this first coat down. Again, we're just going to do plenty of wet blending here. While everything's wet and moving, we're just going to take advantage of the super rainy weather today, because that gives us extra working time with our paints. And this is a model from Relicblade, which I'm proselytizing as best as I can at the club. You only need a few models. It's only like 50 bucks. The models are cute as hell. You get the book. Sean even does a little sketch for you in there. I mean, what else do you want? A thank you note and a sketch from the games maker? I mean, come on. Okay, we're gonna let that dry out a little bit. Oh yeah, Dan, I got Stefan sold it, and all I had to do was just let him look at it a little bit. That's all it is. same thing over here on this little bone armor situation. Mixing that up. And catch these little teeth that are coming up through the shoulder. Again, I think I was preaching about this the other day. If you can't reach a part of the model that you're working on, just move it. The police aren't going to come to your house and say you can't turn that upside down. You can turn it upside down. Probably should turn it upside down. Get some more purple in the shadow here. Mix it in with this brown. Hit this bottom with a little mix of the brown and purple. Let's see what else I got. Mixing in my brown with my purple. This makes the base of the bone. And then from there you can highlight up, but it's nice to set those initial tones for everything. Maybe put the purple in the shadows. Put the purple in the shadows. I feel like I've said it a million times today, but that's what you do, everyone. You put the purple in the shadows. She's got bones going across her back here with her little haversack. We're going to do the same dang thing. That's all it is. Figuring out what materials you're working with and painting everything like that. Check something over here. I feel like I've listened to this song 10 times. It's hard though when it's lo-fi, huh? Did I listen to you before? Maybe. Did it have like some out of tune pianos and some synths and like a weird quintuplet swing drum laggy situation? It's impossible to tell. Working through all the bone bits up here. Might even run this stream a little long if everybody's hanging around, or maybe I'll just paint on my own. But I am having fun painting this model. They paint up quick. I gotta do her little bone pads down here. The bone pads. I'm gonna have to do, I'm supposed to do the YouTuber thing too. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all those things so that as we continue doing this, maybe we can have more people to talk to. If you haven't already, I know a lot of you have. We're small but mighty. But honestly, even if I was talking with someone today, and I was saying that I was painting Relicblade, and they're like, you know, not many people play that game. And I go, well, I know, but I like it. And I want to paint things that I like on stream. Oh yeah, we all bow to the algorithm. Comment on it? I mean, interaction, I guess? I don't know, man. I'm not trying to solve YouTube. So I don't have a desire to come up with ways to speed paint Space Marines today. Nor do I wish to compete with the 20 other people that are speed painting Space Marines. Don't get me wrong, I love a Space Marine. But sometimes, I just want more out of life, guys. Alright, I've got some leather pouches. Ah, here's a little piece of armor under here. Almost missed you. Hints on speed painting Space Wolves. Oh man, Dan, I mean we can do it. Favorite chapter? Oh man, Space Wolves all day. White Scars, close second. I also like Space Sharks. And Minotaurs. I kind of like everybody who like is roughly, I don't want to say neutral, but they're not. They're definitely not the best good guys, and they're definitely not the worst bad guys. They're never not quite bad guys. Space Wolves, boo. That's alright. You can boo all you want, man. I'm used to it. A boo is just one letter away from an awoo. Oh man, it's 2 letters away, huh? Dang. I really gotta figure that out. Alright. Let's start highlighting up this bone. Bring over this ice yellow. Get a good little mid-tone. Check it. We take off the extra because it's wet today. And we get obnoxiously close to the model without bumping the camera. Lots of little tippy taps. Bone has texture. Avoid our deepest shadows. Touch the parts that are right on the edge. We don't need to edge highlight this guy, but if we have a chance to hit the edge of things, why not, right? It's like extra credit. Little stippling motions, little crissy-crossies. This might even be too high of a highlight to start with. That's okay, we can fix that. I want to keep these highlights fairly bright and fairly yellow, because we want them to not look like the bandages that we did earlier today. Knights of the Chalice? Oh, that would be rad. Like an Indiana Jones thing. Chose poorly. I think the key that I'm finding out to streaming by myself is just saying all the little thoughts in my head out loud. And hopefully people like the little thoughts that are in my head, instead of going, what the hell is wrong with this man? That's the secret. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing on the rest of the bone. We really need to make sure that we hit the little shoulder bits that are sticking out the top, because otherwise it's really easy to lose track of those. There's some nice sculpted texture in here, so I'm going to try and follow that a bit, stick into the edge. And keep working through this, keeping things a little textured, a little thin even is nice, because then we can go over it again. And touch that bone up there. Come back over this that I started painting. Keep getting more and more texture on there. Keep touching the top. This little corner right here I like a lot because there's still purple in the shadow. Again, just going to start with my focus towards the end and kind of creep up from there. So we've got a lot of grain to this. Same thing over here. And we want to hit the very top too. And then the same thing over here, starting down towards the bottom to kind of establish some grain to this. Let me hit that. Still want to cover most of this though, because we're going to be working up into the next area. We still probably have 2, maybe 3 highlights to do with this. I want to get this shoulder right because it's next to where the weapon will be. And people follow hands and weapons, and I'm going to paint the end of this spear a bright green, so it's going to grab people's attention. We want to make sure that the details around it stand up when people's eyes are already going to be there. Let's see, let's hit these little bones back here. They're not super important. They're nice to be right, but they are probably the focal of the back. So we want to touch them up a little bit, but not too much. Not the most important thing. Sometimes that can help when you're making decisions about painting, like, what's the most important thing? Focus there. Then do the next step. Then what's the most important thing? Bring more ice white into this. And I should rinse this out. Sometimes after you mix colors in, there's too much of the original paint that hangs out in your brush. Alright, this is going to be nice and bright, so I need to pay close attention to what I'm hitting. Focus it around places where I want you to focus. Keeping in mind that the light's coming from above, same as always. Well, same as most of the time for me. You can get fancy with light. I don't want to be too fancy though. Not with this army. I guess it's not even an army. It's 5 models. Come play Relicblade, it's only 5 models. Liking the way that turns out. I'm gonna hit her teeth. Pleasantly bright. I'll probably have one more highlight. That's just gonna be that ice white. Here I'm just kind of focusing on the tips of these little bone spikes. This parts that are already bright over here. So around the edge, some little tippy tappy bits in the middle. Touch these bones in the back a little bit. See what's going to be visible from the front. Hit these edges again because we're here. Turns out painting bone is a lot like painting wood. You want to just reinforce the grain that's going on with that. all about where the bright highlights end up, because otherwise it's just texture. Grab a little bit more. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're trying to mix a highlight that you've already been working with, but the truth is, if it's slightly different, that just adds more variation to your model. And you want variation of texture and color and value and all of that anyway. You can always compare what it looks like on your thumb. Looks like it might be a little bit bright. We'll give it a try. I think she looks red. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to keep doing these. I like doing it. I'm going to be painting anyway, so, you know, might as well chit-chat with you and ramble into the void. See how the void's doing. Turns out the void's okay. I think we're looking pretty good. Do just a little bit more ice yellow. This is going to be my last highlight for this. Just mixing into that brown to get a little bit more warmth into it. But we're going to be really, really tight, and I might be annoying with how I paint it. Because we just want little touches. Little baby touches. Like literally little dots that you mix in with your other highlights. Putting these in around the eyes because we want to draw a deep contrast between where the eyes are bright, or the eye holes are dark, but the skull around it is bright. Now we're just going to touch the very tips of everything over here. Find where our highlights already are and just touch in there a little bit. That might be a little bit too much, we'll see. If it's a little bit much, we have all the colors on our palette, so we can always go back. See where our highlights already are. Again, we're just touching a little bit of this bright color in there, and it just finishes it. Like right now it's good. This is fine. This is great. I would be happy with this. But then you do a little extra touch, and it kind of pushes it over the edge. And it takes, what? I think when I looked at this it was 8:27 because I'm thinking about closing up the stream when I started this step. And now, if I look, Yeah, 8:30. Took me 3 minutes. I walked around, touched everything once, and got it just that much more finished. I think, let me see. What do I want to do now? I think this might be an okay place for me to wrap up. I'm going to keep painting this. I will share with all of you where it ends up, but for where we are today, boy, I'm really happy with how she turned out. For an hour and a half's worth of work, this is tidy. Alright, everyone. I hope everything is going well for you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will be here again solo next week. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Leave a comment talking about how handsome I am with not having any face cam. That's nice. I like the flattery, though. All right. Y'all have a great evening, and I will talk to you later, dude. Let's go.